remind everyone that we're on sort of a time restriction. At 5:45, there's another meeting that's going to take place in this room. So hopefully we can get covered what we need to get covered in this limited amount of time. First thing I wanted to bring everyone's attention to was a letter that is going to be delivered to the, there's a committee of the planning and zoning to deal with the economic future of Clinton. John has generously volunteered to go to that meeting this evening. I hope everyone had a chance to read the letter, but it'll be presented to them at tonight's meeting. The other thing I wanted to go over, and I neglected to hand these out, but John, myself, and Dennis Donovan listened to a presentation by the labor unions in regard to a PLA, Project Labor Agreement. They left us some information that describes what it is. If anybody would like any of the DVDs that explains the presentation or what they're doing, please take them this evening and go through them, and then at our next building committee meeting, we'll have a discussion about that. Next, well, the one agenda item that we have is to make a decision in regard to the roof over the auditorium and the gymnasium. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Richard. He'll explain to us our options and I think make a recommendation. But the one thing that I wanted to say, and I don't know if everyone, Joe can probably talk to this, but it looks like financially what we're looking at is a difference of $80,000 extra for the windows that would go across the long row of windows. Horizontal windows. Right. I'm sorry, $60,000.
For that top little ribbon of windows
all around the.
Good, I didn't like the meaning.
We'll wait for your comments till later, all right? Wait a minute, we're going to get to it later. This is just the financial implications of any decision that we make. The other thing would be if we went with the curved roof over the auditorium opposed to the shed roof. It looks like there's a difference of $125,000 extra for that. And that would be because it would be more of a metal roof instead of the PPVA.
That's the one over the auditorium.
That would be the one over the auditorium.
That's how much?
$125,000 extra. Okay. So tonight we have to make a decision, I think, in regard to the window, that window piece over the gymnasium, or on the gymnasium, and then the design of the roof over the auditorium. Having said that.
Well, thank you very much. We were very intrigued to develop these alternates and to put them side by side, or one on top of the other. In many respects, there's not a lot of difference between them. In other respects, there is the cost difference is one issue. But this is the view that you saw last week of the front of the school, and you can see that when you close by the school, whether this has a vaulted end to it or not, the experience of the front of the school is very much the same. It's still very, very linear with a strong marker at the point of entry. So that remains the same. And we also talked about what the vault, actually exact vault configuration would be, and I think Dennis, for example, felt that the curve on the model looked better than the curve on the drawing, and we agree with that. So the drawings that we showed you, or at the end of last week, on Thursday we sent them out, reflect that tighter vault. So there are three views here, and one shows the call it shed or asymmetrical gable on the auditorium with the vault shape over the auditorium. In all three of these instances, we're showing the ribbon or clerestory windows on the drawing. This shows the vaulted end to the auditorium. This is a third version which shows the ribbon of windows, but instead of having the vertical windows around the perimeter, it shows the niches, which are just sections of the brickwork that have been set back into the plane of the brick. So those are representative of the choices. Clearly you can mix and match till the end of the week and then into the next and so on. So we've really cut it down to those in this view, and with the consideration of the end of the auditorium being the question. Now, from our perspective, looking at it just as architecturally and in terms of how the building elements relate to one another, our recommendation is to go with the option that has the asymmetrical gable. We think it's a very clear expression of what's happening in the room within, which is the auditorium. It differentiates itself from the gymnasium. It becomes a kind of foil, if you will, to the shape of the gymnasium. So while this has quite a taut shape, angular shape, the gymnasium has a curved shape. So we like the difference. The reason for having two vaulted forms is that it gives a greater symmetry to the elevation when it is viewed as an elevation. But as this drawing shows, that is not how it's going to be experienced. You won't really experience the building as either symmetrical or asymmetrical. It will be viewed as a collection of forms that focus on the entrance. So our sense that this is different, so that the drive past as you go north is different from the drive as you go head in the southerly direction is more dynamic and just more engaged in the landscape, which is different depending on how it's viewed. Does anyone have any thoughts? Because it's very clearly very subjective.
What's the difference in the height of the peak on the one at the bottom?
This one is a little higher, and I'm not quite sure why that is.
Should it be?
We prefer it to be a little higher like
Okay.
this. Yeah. So that there's a difference in the height of that gable, of that roof, and that roof. So that this one, so that
Richard, the top one and the bottom one on the auditorium, that's the same, right? Just maybe it's an illusion.
It happens
No,
to
it's
be,
just in its height.
I don't understand.
Your perspective, your point of view is down lower on one versus the other.
I think if I look at that,
Is that the
line,
same?
that looks like this is a canvas screen that seems to align here. It's a little bit
Yeah,
lower.
it's definitely high.
That's an operator question.
I'll say
I
that's
think it's fine.
the one's rendered on.
No,
Wednesday,
this is-
and this one's rendered
But so the end wall is the same height,
No,
the picture, the wall that
That's to me, that
this,
if you look at a classroom
that's the
size,
same.
that's the same
you
height.
see more glass on one, so I think it's your eye level,
Oh, so they're not different.
right?
Well,
They
it
look
could be,
different.
it could just be where the camera's cutting.
That's what I'm gonna say,
Yeah,
give me
the
the eye
building
level.
is not
Right.
changing, it's
I
just.
think it's because if I look at this looks like this is taller in here than it is here.
Okay.
I think it's the camera angle.
Okay, thanks.
There is a missing tree.
It's since.
Budget cost.
Budget
Yeah,
Value
okay,
engineering.
Almost trees cost trouble.
So, yeah.
I just have one more, I'm just wondering about the play story, as it runs around to the other side of the building, is it continuous or does it run into the classroom room?
Eventually, it will run into the point where the classroom wing connects to the gym. You got a plan?
So play story doesn't run all the way around, it's
It's
just
not-
mostly two sides.
Yeah, and then I think it turns that corner, Richard, just briefly, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Is it like ended by that other piece, you can see it there, right? On that corner, there's like a wall of glass.
Yes. Bring it.
Yeah, right.
If a clear story would start here and could run around like that and then would hit about here. So it's not going to be seen all the way around the building.
It seems like this corner is different.
In this one, actually, this corner's been opened up. So that's a double height corner. That's to let a little bit more light into into the corner of the gymnasium. That's a little bit of architectural license as we play with the model.
But it looks like, so that's not, this isn't a door.
Well, this is a version.
It's not a door down there.
There is a door,
Oh, it is.
actually, there is a door down here. We need that for egress from the gymnasium in that corner. And this flight of fancy takes the glass up so that there will be a view through the gymnasium, through that corner, because that is a true north corner. That is not looking northwest. So that was a thought about getting a little bit more natural light in that corner. But it shows the clear story running around the perimeter with the niches correlating to the location of the vertical walls.
Also, what is, are you, in that curved portion that's above the clear story, are you thinking that's also brick?
That we're showing that as brick.
And now the roof does come down. There's a slight overhang now with the clear story.
There's a little, something of an overhang because we want to reduce
Light.
somewhat the roof radiation. Question one is the roof end on the auditorium.
That's our most important and pressing
That's
concern.
fundamental.
Right, because the windows we can wait on possibly, but the roof is.
We can fiddle with that a little.
Right.
A little.
Or
Bruce's last more.
We can if there's
will.
time, yeah.
We should.
Well, do we want to discuss the roof first? Go around the table then? Jack, do you have a preference as far as which roof on the auditorium do you prefer?
I wavered back and forth on this, and I tend to like the two images, or the two structures. Even though I let the middle picture gives you a sense when you're looking at it from that end, that's kind of cool, but the rest of it, I think, when you look at it from all other angles, the pitched roof or the shed roof on the auditorium, I think, has the most, I like that best.
Kathleen?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree as well.
Shade.
Let's see.
Oh,
Yes, I like, yes, I like shade. Sure, I agree.
Okay,
wow.
very good.
I'll go for the windows.
You want to work on the windows?
Yes.
Yeah, let's keep that open.
Well, you know, that,
Richard's not ready for the windows
Not
yet.
ready to go on the windows?
yes, we are.
Let's go around.
We should talk about it.
Okay, what about that clear story around the top edge?
Well, what I like,
Go ahead.
do we have one without?
Yeah, there is one without.
Well, yeah. feel like the design team has voted me off the program because the version that I am most interested in, we don't have.
Oh, well.
Such is life. Which
Could
version's
be
that?
wrong.
That is the version that has the clear story window here, and then stopping, and then having the brick on the gable end, and then the glass running up. You're gonna try to find that?
Yeah, because I was told that was modified into the,
Okay.
that's why well, but no need to worry.
No, okay, well, this is actually the version that you pretty much saw at our last meeting, where we had no clear story window, but a strip window that ran really all the way around on all four, well, on the exposed faces of the gymnasium wall. And that is shown also in elevation drawing, which is here. So you saw that last week in this drawing, where there was a narrow window that really ran from the eave down to a sill line, and then went around the space. So there would have been a series of slots which we would on the inside control with a light box that would reflect the light back onto the walls. And that really is the basis of that drawing.
Richard, is this clear story in the same?
It's in the same
place?
line. It's in the same line. And I think that will be very,
And on each one now, everyone, this is always the same height, the roof never moves. So the clear story is occupying the same space as the top portion. So the clear story is essentially right here. This is not
okay. That's, the clear story is here. So these got a little stumpier and narrower in this version. That version shows the niches. This one shows this one shows the version that has the glazed openings, and we'd have to then control the inside of the glass. And that's, so now we're now starting to glaze that space pretty significantly, and we would then have to control a lot more of the solar radiation. From my own perspective, I don't think there should be a question about money. We're talking about $60,000. If we're talking about, if it's a question of cost. If it's a different question, which I think is much more important, it's a question of whether it's the right thing or not, whether it's the right thing for the school. From where I stand, I don't really think we're finished with this. I don't think we've seen the version that does the trick for me. Although I feel that this works. I think this works. I think this one creates more of an issue on the interior of the building than the other version. What do you mean by that? Well, we have to, and we were planning to do it with this, with this notion that on the inside of the gymnasium, we create a box to receive the light and to deflect the light, a very low westerly light, deflected against a panel inside the window, and drive the light against the wall so that you would get a diffusing of the light coming from the west. Well, so that was the idea with that concept. Now when we move to this one, this version, ribbon of glass as well as the vertical panels of glass. So from the standpoint of solar control, it's easier to do it one way than to try to do it both ways. If we only had this, or we only had that, it would be a much better engineering proposition to address them. Option number one, on the, I think it needs a little
Shape,
refinement.
But not clear story.
I perhaps wouldn't put the clear story there, but just have it along this edge, along this face, so it's underneath the eaves. It lines up with the clear story we have over there, so it forms one line across the building, but then allow that wall to be a wall and
With
just
the
open up
niches?
the corner.
And there would be
With
niches.
the niches,
Now,
I'd go for that.
would you stop your niches at the same point, or would you then continue them?
no, I think we'd stop them. That's a good question. I don't have an answer.
I,
I'd put it, maybe just do that, fill that out in brickwork. I think we have to look at it. I think it needs a little bit of patterning with the brickwork.
See, the comments that I'm getting from people that show those pictures with those windows is we're making it more and more modern, and we're getting away from the colonial New England look. We're getting to make this look like something that belongs in Hartford. Getting glass, more glass, and now you put glass on the corners with those doors, with those corner things, it's more glass. You know, I mean, we're supposed to try to be maintaining a New England, I hate to use the term, because it was way back, but the old fashioned, what was it, tobacco barn, or New England barn, sort of farm setting and stuff, and now we're getting to be more and more glass, glass, glass. That shows me Hartford, 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 more of those big glassy, that's just my take. So you're taking that glass off of that end like that, and as long as those are niches and not windows, I could probably live with that.
Well,
As a vocal for you know.
What was that?
I was sort of intrigued by your statement last week, and I just could envision, at night especially, driving up to the school or driving past the school, and the image I had of light coming out of the windows. You know, I like the sound of that and the image that I had in my mind. The school would really look nice with that. But I am concerned, when you're telling solar effects, we want to make sure that the light doesn't affect the gymnasium when we have activities going on in there during bright sunny days.
It's very much a matter of how wide those openings are and what we do to control the light when it gets in. It can be done with the glass, and it can also be done with a panel behind the glass, inside the room.
So those windows, what you're saying is there would be some sort of a wood panel or some sort of panel, so the light comes in and it doesn't go anywhere when you hit that.
Flat in the back, so you don't get it directly.
goes on the
So,
side.
I mean, if you imagine that there's that light fixture there, and you look at it, it's glazed, but if I put that panel there, you see the light as a corona around the board, but you don't see the glare.
Richard, I think I like the scheme you haven't shown.
Which one's
I like the scheme you haven't shown, that you just talked about.
Yeah.
Bringing the thing wrapping around, letting that end wall be a little bit more of a brick wall. I have, the reason why I asked you what that curve, what the material above the clear story was, whether it's brick, is like, I always have trouble with these brick sitting on glass.
Yeah.
So I think that letting that wall continue on as being brick wall seems to make more sense to me.
I think that's the right way. Just, we will come back with that. I just want to have our roof and have our ground plane, and we can penetrate between the two.
And I do like, Dennis, I do like a lot, that corner with a lot of glass over there. kind
You're an architect.
No, I prefer number two. I'm
being able to view out, being able to kind of see out, and it's a north side, you're not really concerned about a lot of solar heat getting into the space. And it's kind of an asymmetrical space anyway, so it's probably, you know, it didn't really, the windows don't have to be symmetrical.
I'm not gonna
Shouldn't
vote
be.
no, just, you know, I just threw it, you know, I'm adamant about it, I just trying to come, see what brought to me is that
I
it's
don't
more
see
modern.
how, I don't see how having this open makes it more colonial.
More what?
Or less.
Not that more colonial, I think it's way beyond colonial.
Yeah, it's way deeper.
But, I think it's more interesting end wall shape to have this sort of mystic, I think that that's more interesting as a shape as well.
I have a question. Is that open directly into the gymnasium? Is there a vestibule at all there, or is that right on the
No,
gym
it
floor?
is, no, there's no vestibule, that is the wall, the outside face. It wouldn't be, it shouldn't really be considered as the entrance to the gymnasium. It is an exit. We need a lot of egress capacity from the gym. So it will have the purpose of helping people get out of the gymnasium when it's packed with people.
What happens when cars drive into that parking lot?
Okay,
So I think it's kind of far away, honestly far
What about security?
that's a good question.
More
You
advice.
mean like
That's a good
lights,
question. I
headlights?
want to know the
Big
answer.
deal, yeah. You got a game going on at night, you got a shoreline championship, and somebody pulls into that parking space and you shine five
Players.
minutes
Right
on
here.
the court.
Be hosted, it must be
It's
hosted.
going to be, that's the corner.
Well, you can put it-
Yeah.
We're host landing, we're host.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't think it's going to be, it wouldn't be an issue here. It might be an issue with someone coming in this way and turning there. So is that something that can be addressed in the landscape? I'd say yes, it is. It's not, it is a good 120 feet away from the corner. But it's there, and that's,
I think I have more concern about that particular entrance in terms, the way that we would address it from a security standpoint in terms of especially at the ground level, having it be that much glass. Because it is a direct entrance into the building. And it's not a double, we're not looking at a double double door entry situation. So
Was
we
that
do need
always
to.
the door?
yeah, it's gonna be more than two doors.
So it's always been.
It's always been there.
Right.
It's always been there.
I understand we need to have the door.
Yeah.
That's not the, but I think in terms of the way that we address that from a security standpoint, especially during the course of the day.
Oh, sure.
Stay away from glass on the entry doors if you can.
Right.
Well, that much,
I agree, Jack, thank you.
In an earlier version, this is cut through the ground plane, but that was the corner of the gym, and there was glass, and there was a door in that location. Another door down here. We do need a lot of doors to get people out of the building, and we don't have the luxury of the square footage of the vestibule at every location where we need an exit door.
so that, at some level, that could also be wrapped around the side of the building as well.
Yes, and the other thing is that we could always stop the glass at door head height, and then just have the door beneath. That would address that concern. We would have natural light coming into the space, but there wouldn't be an issue with,
The key thing to me is the benefits that you have. So one is egress you need to have, so it's really an exit door as opposed to an entrance door.
yes, and we're gonna have a lot of those in the building. We need to be able to get a lot of people out of the building in a hurry. We've been doing our fixture counts And it is just amazing how many thousands of people per code can fit into the building. And if they can fit into the building per code, they have to be able to get out per code. Even though you will never need all those doors, we still have to provide them. But they will be locked.
Yeah, but if it was brick, like Jack is sort of, I hope, saying, thinking is, if it's brick down the bottom there,
Yeah.
with two nice metal exit-only doors, that's gonna provide a lot more security than having glass down there that just gives you the impression that I can break in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I drive around the side of that building and I see a brick wall and two big metal doors, I say, guess I won't try that one. Let me keep going around until I hit that glass someplace else, you
You're
know?
not gonna look very colonial.
I won't be coming as a colonial, I can tell you, you know, I mean, you know, if you're a den of a nut, you know what I'm saying, that would think something like that, but unfortunately, we have to think about that
Yes,
now.
indeed, indeed, that's quite
You
true.
know, it's unfortunate that architects' hands are now getting bound by other
We're only
forces.
too sadly aware that we have to be thinking along those lines. Well, we will come back with that sidewalk. I feel that Peter, I think that you and I were talking about the same elevation.
Richard, can we just go around the table really quick and see how people feel about the, I keep forgetting what I should call it, the windows around the top?
Yes, sir.
Clear story, whether we like that or we don't like that, and whether we like windows or niches in the,
Right.
all right? Jack, could you start?
Sure, I'll be happy to start. I'm a fan of the clear story. I think from the very first time that we introduced the idea over the administrative office, the idea of a transom window, in my head is what I look at it, with an overhang and that detail of the building, without the full punch outs in that, what would be the west wall, or that front side, or is that east wall? I'm sorry, east wall. This side, yeah.
That's
So that, I like that. The more that we're talking about that clear story going across with the brick above it, I tend to agree that I kind of like the way, what it looks like in the middle picture, the middle image, even though it doesn't give you the full asymmetric slope. The idea of having whether it's lighter brick or however you've got that set up with either, full niches or even potentially the window diffusion on that side looks interesting. And then wrapping it right around to the inside of the building gives it, it's a nice look from that end, and it's enough different from, because you've got bigger space. So that would be I like the transom window, the clear story on the front of the building. I can live without it on the sides and wrap it around.
My answer's much shorter than that. I prefer the clear story and I prefer windows over the niches.
Oh,
Yes, that's my answer.
okay. I think the clear story window works. I'm not sure about the windows, but I think the niches maybe a little bit too kind of either here or there. I do like to see ultimately how you develop that sort of scheme that didn't show up.
Okay. Yeah, I do prefer the clear story, and I do prefer the windows as long as we can be assured that we're not going to be having problems with the courts. So,
I like the one you started with last week with just the windows and the bricking, the stripe of bricking without the clear story. I think it lowers the profile of the building. That's just me.
Now, you've got three options?
Yeah.
Very good.
So the thing is, do you have three, I
I'm not sure where they were.
think it's underneath that one you just,
Well, you weren't there from last week.
Yeah, so that's underneath that one.
That had striped and brickwork.
Well,
Yeah, there's another one that's straight.
The one from last week. I don't mean to make
I
like that,
think it's
like
the farm road back.
musical chairs with the thing, but.
Is it behind?
Yeah.
There, that's the one I like.
That doesn't have clear,
No,
a clear window,
No.
that's just windows
So just windows.
with the brick type of.
And wouldn't the roof be actually a little bit, the whole building be a little bit lower than if you had the clear story on it? Or would you make the windows, the narrow windows taller?
We made these windows, lower.
When you put the clear
Yeah, you're right, the clear story runs under there, so it's just basically they're aligned with the, that's under the same, they're under the same line.
So it doesn't affect, because
Doesn't-
you were concerned last week of if the roof line went up, then the bell tower didn't stand out as much.
Yes, well, the tower is now, because we had to push the gym in towards the center to cut out a couple of thousand square feet. This roof was really crowding that element, and we wanted to cut it back so that we see it.
I like option one, the niches, it's got the clear story, and if you can take the clear story off this end of the building, I'll even be happier.
I agree with Sally, I like that view the best. I mean, yeah, I like that with the brick stripes on the side.
And that extra banding too, that this one doesn't show.
Not to throw around.
I'm not well about the banding, I have to say,
We
that
don't
was
have enough time to make a
that was a
decision.
mistake.
You
We just-
got about
That was a mistake.
80 options again.
Well,
Yeah,
I-
I'm not crazy about the banding, I think it makes that end like so static for me. But I'm more intrigued by, what you had described and, maybe dealing with this corner and.
I think we're down to short strokes, and
Mhm.
So I just wanted to go through that to kind of have you get an idea of where we're coming from.
Okay.
But,
Hear from John? Did you hear John?
yeah, I do.
Well,
He did.
Which one, John?
Wait till Richard comes back with his short stroke.
I'm sorry.
that is fair.
I thought John Steve
Why?
was,
I didn't hear it.
Why is it fair?
which did you like, John?
I'm not sure. To be honest with you. No, but it-
Okay.
Let me ask you a wildcat thing, with that one there that you have there where you like with the stripes, yeah, that one you got your hands on. Is it possible to put niches in there?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything?
Okay.
That's just
With
against all
the,
those windows.
just so that I'm clear, with the, what are we calling it, the clear story? I mean, we're guaranteed there's not gonna be any sunlight issues with the sporting events, with the clear story?
We will have to address very low line penetration through that clear story. Because it's going to be there, because it's long, and the sun, as the sun comes around to the west, it's coming down lower and it's arcing lower and lower. So clear story is really the hardest window to control for low glancing light. So we will have to have vertical fins inside the line of the clear story to control that line.
So you wouldn't consider just moving that roof overhang?
Well, I think the roof, which we are showing an overhang, and that will control a lot of the angle, but as the sun gets lower and lower, it gets harder and harder to control. It's simply a matter problem of geometry and the angle of incidence of the primary ray of the sun. But we would have have to.
On the inside, you have a horizontal fin, or
Well,
We
well,
need
I
a combination.
I think we're gonna have to,
Honeycomb.
because the problem really is that if you have a fin that's too low, then it's below where the basketball needs to be, then you get a
Right.
problem. So you're gonna have to,
This is a
he's
gym.
gonna have to work that out.
down here.
It's a gym. It's meant to play basketball.
Yeah, it's-
I would just like to say that the clear story doesn't mean as much to me as the windows do. I really prefer to have windows, and if you decide that the clear story doesn't work, I'm sorry, Dennis, I just find the niches to be very plain.
Yeah, I really
I understand that, I understand that from a beautification point, but that's a gym. It's meant to play sports in. It's not a garden center to put a lot of light in and grow flowers and do anything else. You're meant to play sports in there, and you do things to produce a good sports, athletic activities.
Right.
I mean, I agree with you, that's why I like to at least see niches rather than just plain. I don't know what rendition, sometime we saw plain or something, and I think you're absolutely correct at plain that you have to break it up, and that's why I think that one down there now grows on me, because that line that comes around, I didn't realize that was like another different colored brick or something. That does break it up, as you say, does make it look sort of nice, but with niches to keep the light up.
Okay, well, we're not gonna solve this
We
problem.
won't solve
No, you're not,
So,
but I just wanna comment again, that, again, when it says windows this way, that way, whatever, then you're inside looking about how to make fins and everything to accommodate windows. You're making a problem for yourself. That's all I gotta say, you're making more problems, which means more money.
All right, so I think, can I have a motion on the floor to go with,
I make a motion to go with the shed
Shed
roof on
roof.
the auditorium.
Thank you. Can I have a second to that
I'll
motion?
second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, that motion passes. We'll have more discussion at our next building committee meeting on Tuesday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Dennis. Second? Thank you, Evelyn. All in favor? Thank you.